Our body is just like a little country that has been invaded by an enemy army. But the enemy in this case is not big soldiers. This invading army is so tiny that it can be seen only through a microscope. Its soldiers are the germs of communicable disease. The usual gateway by which they enter is through the mouth or nose.
We've known for a long time how germs spread disease. In some cultures, particularly in East Asia, it's common for people to wear a mask when they're sick. It's a courtesy to prevent others around you from also getting sick, or at least reducing the chance that they'll do so. Seems like a good practice to adopt during a pandemic, which is why in New Zealand we're being encouraged to wear masks when we're in public, and required to when we're on public transport. Not everyone's so keen on this though, like the people attending the weekly Liberty March anti-lockdown protests in Auckland.
We also have some masks available if anyone wants one. That's about it. But yeah, you're all free people. We also have some anonymous masks. Do we have some more? Yeah, so we've got some anonymous masks with a friend as well.
Use your masks to wipe your ass. Chant of the day, smiley face.
By the way, that tweet isn't just from a random protester. That's the author of Western Civilization Defended, a primer. Her Twitter is full of the kind of hot takes one would expect from a scholar of Western civilization.
Antifa are the most fascist bunch of thugs on our planet. I can't wait until Trump gets re-elected, then cracks down on their shitty little asses. Subhumans.
Hey Olivia, maybe if they have shitty little asses, you could get them some masks. That was a joke. I know they have masks already. Don't get in the comments section trying to do a gotcha. People opposed to wearing masks are a small minority, however. While I haven't been able to find local statistics, one UK study found that only 1 in 10 people believed wearing a mask was actually hazardous to your health, and 1 in 8 believed that the government was requiring masks as a means of controlling people. Interestingly though, that number rose to almost 1 in 3 among people who used YouTube as their primary source of information. Maybe this website isn't the best place to be getting advice on masks. By the way, I'm aware of the irony of appearing on YouTube in order to decry it, so don't bother pointing that out. After the virus was found to have spread on an Auckland bus, the requirement to wear a mask on public transport seems reasonable. Social norms, if not actual rules, have always governed what's appropriate to wear on public transport. And in these unprecedented times, perhaps social norms need to change fast. There will of course always be people who are opposed to change, like the Christchurch man who held up a bus in protest against wearing masks. Watch as the driver tells him he can just get on the bus, but he insists that police are called.
If you're one of those, you can jump in. I want a ticket for not wearing a mask. You want a ticket? I want a ticket for not wearing a mask. You can jump in and look at us. Sorry, mate.
What is it with conservatives and desperately wanting to be oppressed? I'm calling him a conservative not because he's opposed to masks, but because I know he's one of the speakers at the far-right rallies that happen every Saturday in Christchurch's Cathedral Square. So if you didn't know that was a thing, and I've just made your 2020 that little bit worse. The mask has been politicised in a way that would confuse and astound someone from the past, like 2019. A study done by French social scientist Antoine Bristel found that the people opposed to masks fit a profile. They're more likely to distrust institutions and believe in conspiracy theories. When questioned about a number of conspiracy theories, 90% of the French anti-maskers believed that their government's Ministry of Health was in league with Big Pharma to hide the negative effects of vaccines. This is false, but logically consistent with an anti-mask view. Interestingly though, a majority of them, 57%, also believed in the Great Replacement. This is a conspiracy theory first proposed by French writer Renaud Camus, which posits that there's a deliberate plot to replace white populations in Europe with non-white ones. The conspiracy theory has nothing to do with masks or coronavirus, so why the connection? Well, it turns out when a person believes in one conspiracy theory, they're likely to believe in others. In fact, there's a growing awareness of a kind of wellness blogger far-right overlap. It was written about by Ali Breland and Mother Jones back in April, and was referenced in this German cartoon. The text translates to, admittedly, our ideals and way of life may be different, but our hatred of a piece of cloth unites us. I'll put a link to the artist and to Ali Breland's article in the description below. In this country, we could be watching the wellness blogger to alt-right pipeline in real time. Take a look at this clip from that same demonstration where people were laughing about masks.
But what am I first and foremost? I am a mother. And like so many mothers, degrees or otherwise, we have become passionate researchers in the subject of health and well-being. It started with asking about the food we put into our children, questioning the official government guidelines. In this case, it led to me forming a blog, Dom's Kitchen, and starting a petition against the ridiculous health star rating. From there, many of us started questioning everything we put into our baby's body. And this leads us on different paths. But we are all here today because we dared to question the official narrative.
Now let me be clear. I don't know the extent of this woman's politics beyond the fact that she's opposed to the current government and the scientific consensus on a number of issues. It wouldn't be accurate to describe her as far right. But let's look at some of the people she's sharing a platform with. There's Carol Saiki, the woman who started a petition to Parliament against the UN Migration Compact, echoing a campaign started by the Austrian far-right group Generation Identity.
The Islamic takeover. Well, we've all seen that on telly, haven't we?
There's Damien Dement, New Zealand's biggest QAnon proponent and an anti-fascist.
Even in New Zealand, Antifa exists, and so this is my stark and very clear warning to Antifa New Zealand. I swear to God, you bring any of that bullshit that is happening in my homeland in the United States, you bring any of that here to my adopted homeland in New Zealand, I will kick your fucking teeth in, I swear to God.
And making his way from Christchurch to attend, there's Lee Williams, a man whose YouTube videos promoting the Great Replacement saw police visit him twice in the aftermath of the Christchurch shooting.
Europe and its people are being replaced via mass migration.
Despite what this coalition of anti-vaxxers and alt-right influencers will tell you, masks are good, actually. According to who, you might ask? Yes. It's a good idea to wear a mask if you're in a crowd or on a train. Doing so isn't making a political statement. For most people, not doing so isn't making a political statement either. But a small group of wellness grifters and conspiracy influencers could yet ruin this for all of us.
People have responded pretty responsibly to it. I keep an eye on what's happening on the public transport. Overwhelmingly, people wearing their masks, even around town, much more than you would imagine in something that's not mandatory, and about 75% of people in supermarkets. On average.
Do you think perhaps
pretty good?
It should be made mandatory for public spaces in order to try and to get to two, if that's what's needed?
Look, it's a balance. It's between carrying the public with you, getting willing compliance. We're not a police state, so you, to a large extent, do rely on collaboration, cooperation from the public, and overwhelmingly we've got that. Clearly, we didn't get it from some, and, I agree with the Minister of Health on some of the rubbish that goes through social media saying, no such thing as COVID. There's over 6 million people around the world that can tell you from their personal experience that there is. That's a worry.
Let's deal with the issue of misinformation first, that Chris Hipkins and yourself are now critical of. Why is there no measure to be tougher and regulate this? Isn't it time to, if it was mainstream media running some of this stuff, there would be consequences? So why are there no consequences for if it's just, a Wild West out on the internet?
Yeah, look, that's a fair point to make. I think when people spread misinformation that is clearly inaccurate, damaging and dangerous to the community, we need to look at that. And the PM was really good after the events of March 15 and the stuff that was going through the internet. And maybe there's room for us to do more in that regard.
What, like fines or get them off the...
I haven't really thought that through, and it's for people with a greater level of expertise than me to do it. But it is really obnoxious that people can spread misinformation, inaccurate information, lies that can damage people's well-being and health through the social media. And, it's all those conspiracy theorists. I suppose if you're going to act against social media, what do you do about the rallies where, I saw a picture of a guy on TV last night walking in one of these rallies. There's no such thing as COVID-19. We're going to take the shirt off his back and arrest him. Probably not. There are fringe groups in any society. We've just got to make sure that they remain fringe groups.